Our company is called TransactionTree. My name is Justin Brooks. I am in charge. I'm our Executive Vice President of Business Development. Our CEO is Jason Shapiro. He's over there. I'll invite him up on stage for Q&A here in a little bit, and you guys can grill both of us. In a nutshell, what TransactionTree does is integrate with POS systems to give retailers the ability to email receipts out to customers instead of having to print them out to store. And then the retailer can market to that customer, potentially based on the items purchased in that email. So we've taken what's traditionally been a hard cost for retailers, and the costs associated with printer maintenance, e-costs, paper costs, and turn it into a potentially revenue-generating vehicle. Kind of give a new methodology to how things work. How else do we help retailers besides saving them some money? Well, one of the biggest pains that a lot of retailers face nowadays is communication with their customers. We spoke with one really large retailer who said that in their customer database, up to 55% of their customer emails were invalid. So right off the bat, you over half marketing efforts, email marketing efforts, are in vain. What our solution does is it gives customers a reason to give their email address to retailers. And here's how we do that. Because we integrate at the POS level, we have basically a seamless integration. So a customer will walk in the checkout line, and now they'll be given the option whether they want to have their receipt delivered via email, printed out in the store, or both. We have all three options that exist for all three customer types in every scenario. So we don't alienate any customers. If a customer chooses to have the receipt emailed to them, then we need to pull an email address. Where do we do that from? Well, we have a number of ways that we can get that. Most notably, we integrate with existing loyalty and CRM databases. So this can help to pull any of those invalid email addresses that are stored in the database to validate them with the customer for verification purposes. Also, this helps to speed things along. Helps give an incentive for retailers customers to sign up for retail loyalty programs to scan their card, and they can already have this integration piece. The retailer can simply have the cashier ask the customer for their email address. When you go into a lot of places, a lot of big name retailers right now, they're often asking for this kind of information from their customers currently, this or a mobile phone number. We could also tie the email address to a mobile phone number in our system once someone's come through once. Should have brought some water with me. Once we take that email address, once we capture that email address, we put it on a customer-facing signature capture device. And what this does is visually, it allows the customer to say, yes, this is my correct email address, or no, this isn't. So all of those 55% invalid email addresses that customers are coming through and asking to have their receipt emailed, now they have a chance to correct those. Also, any sort of cashier entering error or anything like this significantly helps cut down on it. And gives a little more interaction. And that's all the integration we need for the checkout process. At that point in time, oh, thank you so much. Oh, excuse me. So at that point in time, they finish the transaction and the information is sent over to our system. And we capture at the POS, because again of that integration at the POS level, we capture that line item data. And then we're actually able in our system to assign specific marketing materials, marketing messages, or any sort of messages from the retailer based on the items that the customer purchased in the store, and deliver them in that same email with the receipt as an attachment. So now the retailer has the ability to give relevant marketing materials to the customer instead of just having to do mass email spams to people. So if you go into a sporting goods location and say you're buying a football for your kid, and you have your receipt emailed to you, well, the retailer has the opportunity at that point in time to say, okay, this customer bought a football, so now let's send him a informational promotion for some football cleats if he comes back in next week. Try to drive some repeat business, maybe some cross-channel sales. We also take that eReceipt and we put it in an online repository, and that's a place that the customers can go to access all their receipts from the retailer or other retailers. We can help our retail customers actually host that kind of repository on their own website, which is another touch point for retailers to help drive traffic back to their site and maybe leverage some cross-channel sales in the process. And that's sort of an overview of how our integration works and how our process works. So what's in the sauce? Because we're fully integrated at POS, again, that's a key for our solution. I'm going to keep mentioning that. We're actually able to take this transactional data and pair it with this customer data. Traditionally, those are two areas that retailers have that information siloed. They have all their customer information, and they have all their transaction information, and our solution is able to pair the two of those together. And in doing so, we're able to use that information to help the retailer do data mining, to help better deliver marketing messages, to help better deliver any sort of touch point to the customer, to better know who their customers are. Because we're a software, once we develop on one POS platform, we're able to install that piece on multiple retailers who run the same platform, which gives us a high gross margins on our revenue. We've actually applied for our first international patents. See our number there, up there. Our patents for our software cover the software code and the methodology around capturing the data and pairing it with the relevant marketing materials and then sending it out to the customers. So who do we attack for this software, right? Who do we reach out to? Potentially, anywhere there's a retailer running a POS system, we can play on. We've chosen, though, to target specifically specialty retailers. That's where we've had the best feedback. That's where we've had the most interest and seen the most retailer-based initiatives in a digital receipt platform. That market consists of over 400,000 stores and over $350 billion in revenue. And we've had a lot of interaction with many retailers, larger retailers, in this space who've shown a high level of interest, and we've had multiple discussions with. One of those retailers actually asked us about customer adoption. That was a big issue of them, right? So if I come in and implement the solution, are my customers going to use it? So we conducted a customer survey, and we said, all right, as a customer, if you went into the retailer and you had the option of receiving an e-receipt, would you? 62% of people said yes. That's not including the 11% that said maybe. So a hard 62% you said yes, I would take the email receipt option. And I know right now a lot of you guys are saying, all with your iPhones, hold on, I've been to the Apple Store, I've gone in there and I've bought a device and I've had my receipt emailed to me. So who else is doing this in the space? The Apple Stores is actually not proprietary. They had a solution that they custom built for their own store. We are the first commercially available POS integrated e-receipt platform. So there is no direct competition at the POS level with that. Our competition, closest competition, really focuses on the repository model. As I mentioned, when we put those receipts in an online repository, they focus on that sort of level of integration. They don't really provide an engine to be able to deliver those receipts from the retailer to the repository. So beyond that, because we integrate the POS, again, that key integration piece, and we tie that customer data to that transaction data, that's key for the retailer. That adds value to them, and now they're able to dive into that and get that sort of data without having to do some big enterprise content management solution in their own stores to sort of drill down and do that same data mining. As well, we have a much lower cost and time to integration of our solution. For the market, we've chosen to attack on a transactional level, which means that for a retailer, every time you go in, right now there's a hard cost associated with them for printing out a receipt in the store. So every time you make a transaction, it costs them so many pennies, so many tenths of a penny to actually print out their receipt. So we've done that, but applied it to the email receipt. So now we have a transactional fee based on the level of integration that ranges anywhere from a half cent an email to 2.5 cents an email. And that includes all the marketing that comes along with it. So for retailers that don't want something that's such a flexible spend for them, like receipts now, receipt paper and all that, it's a flexible number. They don't know how much they're going to have to spend. They have an idea, but they don't know how much they're going to spend for the year. What we do is we take the historical adoption rates from the previous year, and we can apply that as an annual fee for them. So now the retailer can say, okay, well, I know I'm going to pay this much for my e-receipt platform, regardless of my level of adoption. And if I increase that level of adoption, well, then I'm actually going to save more money off my bottom line, off those paper costs and the ink costs. So, emailing versus printing, what's the difference? there's not only is there 30% cost savings associated to the retailer is printing versus emailing, a straight exchange, but also as far as environmental impact, right? So consumers are now starting to see companies for what they are. They're doing green initiatives. A lot of specialty retailers are putting a lot of marketing dollars and spending a lot of time customer-facing to show everyone how green they're going and how green they're doing. Emailing a receipt versus printing it out is a 66% reduction in carbon footprint. And that includes the data storage and energy costs associated with everything behind it. And that's a very important touch point for some retailers now going forward. Beyond that, when I mentioned our predictive analytics, our data mining that we're able to do off that information, we have a license fee that was associated with that for a retailer. So what this is actually a per user license fee, not a per retailer. So a retailer can have one person who pays it. They pay this license fee for, who can go on and run as many reports as they want to, run reports that they need to, and it's just that one-time per month fee, individual usage. There's also a couple sections of the mining platform that they can order specific data-enriched customer records on, and those are 20 cents a record. So we've chosen to attack the market in two different ways. We have a small direct sales force that we target the higher touchpoint retailers, larger retailers, retailers that need more interaction from our staff and from our solution. We also have a large indirect sales force. And most notably, I want to point out here that we will be OEMs on a company called JDA's next release of their POS software, slated for September. JDA is the fourth largest POS manufacturer in the world. And their sales guys are going to be out there selling to their customers their new POS system that actually includes our software on it, and including and selling our solution as well. So all the retailer has to do is ask us to turn it on, flip the variable switch, and they're up and running our solution. No integration necessary beyond that. We've also been working with a couple of very large RMS resellers. Our current customers that we have live are running our RMS platform right now, and we're actually just rolled out version 2, so we're ready to go for any retailer running RMS can have call us and have it. We'll have it installed in a day or two to have it up and running. We have a great team here at TransactionTree. Namely, Jason Shapiro is our CEO here in the wings. He'll be able to answer any questions you guys have about him. We have Jose Jimenez, who's got experience in multiple platforms, multiple companies here. Most notably, I want to point out Chris Wilson, our Chief Technology Officer, who has over 20 plus years in the retail technology experience. He knows this retail technology world, and he knows this environment better than anyone. And let's see, we have Vanessa Jimenez, who comes from Firethorn. Firethorn is a local startup here in Atlanta, I believe, and was bought by Qualcomm. And we have myself, who I told him to write the most charming member of our team, but I guess he just put my experience up there. I have a very unique background for our situation in that I come from both a marketing and advertising background in sales and also technology sales, which is where our solution kind of overlaps. It's a technology software that integrates with marketing pieces, so we're often dealing with both the tech side of the house and the marketing side of the house. And I'm used to dealing with both of those sides. Our key board of advisors here is, we like to think, is very impressive, and most of all, I'd like to point out in particular, Scott Sabin. He was the former CIO of K&G Men's Warehouse. He was with them from one store to what they are today, and this key board of advisors opens a lot of doors in the retail industry for us, especially the specialty retail industry. Grease a lot of deals for us to have great conversations and great partnerships. So here's our financial estimates for going forward. This is based, as you can see, we have a number of retail customers listed above. These are based on some specific deals and a pipeline that we've been working on. This is, I think, a fair estimate of what we hope to achieve. I will also note that most notably that all of our revenue, operating expenses are tied to our revenue. So if the revenue goes down, proportionally our operating expenses will also go down. Any new capital that we get will be used in a number of different ways. We have two very important and very specific integration projects that we're working on for customers, including the IBM and the Oracle POS platforms. So with our solution, our backend is a very robust backend. So that's the bread and butter of our software and the bare bones of our software and our backend. That's what pulls the heavy weight. We integrate with the POS. We have a different client that we developed to integrate with each POS that we have a certain base code for. So it's not too bad as far as integration time and cost. But these are two very widespread used POS platforms for a lot of retailers that we hope to be able to use multiple times as well. Also, as I mentioned, we have our sales and marketing partnerships that we're working with, our extremely large RMS resellers and JDA. And we want to be able to give them all the materials and training that those sales guys need to go forward and sell our solution into their relationships. All these resellers and POS companies often have the strongest relationships with their own clients. So by partnering up with them, not only do we have a larger sales force and a more strategic sales force, but we also have those strong partnerships with retailers that we're able to leverage. Also, a bit of it will be used to enhance our customer base repository. Again, that section that our competitors like to focus on, and that's their model they focused on. We want to add a few little bells and whistles to it to make it more visually appealing, to make it more interactive. So we've had a few great milestones here with our company. We've been in market for about a year now with our product. Last year we established our company in Norcross, Georgia. We built and tested our software, deployed it. We're running live with 2 paying customers right now. We're out at Stanford University, and there's a Chin wine distributor in Connecticut called Wine Pirates, DBA Wine Pirates. They're up there, Galvani Liquors. So we have generated that customer-produced revenue. As most notably, I like to say, we've solidified and gone forward that OEM contract with JDA. Having the 4th largest POS manufacturer on your distributor on your side is very strategic when you're going out to market with a product like this. So why should you choose us to win this competition? I like to think that we're the best company, but we are an early stage company, and we're gaining enormous market acceptance in a very large market. And very enthusiastically by a number of retailers, a number of partners, a number of players already in this market. Already, where a number of companies have attempted to do what we've done as far as with the POS and with digital receipts, we've come further and actually gone to market and taken the idea to market where no one has done that before. The technology is out there, it's tested, it's deployed, and it's proven. And we have these strong relationships with these companies going forward. With multiple POS companies we've been talking to. We have this OEM agreement locked down with JDA. We have these agreements, contracts we're working out details with these large RMS resellers to be able to go forward and sell our solution without having to increase our own overhead. We are TransactionTree. Thank you very much for your time, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to invite Jason Shapiro, our CEO, on stage for our Q&A.